Well, welcome everybody to our Wednesday night call. We just got done sharing some wins, setting some critical tasks. Curtis and Susan are going to be tagging me in their story here come this week for making sure we get our water and our reading our book for our class. And Megan, I want you to go ahead and you're going to tag me in your story just of you relaxing. I want to make sure you're on the beach relaxing and yeah, just give you a little bit of something to do as well. But as far as what we're doing tonight, what I want to be able to, and we had some questions from the group on protein. And I know, Curtis, you were interested in this as well, as far as getting some protein dense. Well, in particular, the question was, how do you increase the protein of protein shakes without increasing your carbs, your fats, or everything else? And I'm going to give a couple tricks, or I'm going to really walk through of what I put into mine and how I make mine and how I'll go about modifying it depending on the season I'm in, if it's a cut, if it's a bulk, if I'm just maintaining, how I'll modify my shake. And then we can go through together then a couple ideas as far as maybe some protein denser meals, some protein dense snacks that are going to allow us to, those of us that have higher protein needs, reach our needs. So as far as our protein shakes go, what I want you guys to do is, as I'm kind of talking here, if you guys just want to type in the chat here, I know Susan, you're cooking, but type in the chat just what you make as far as your protein shake. You can kind of space it out, put commas. You can, if you know how to enter or space enter, I think it's just control enter on your keyboard, but you can put in how you make your shake, if there's anything special you do. As far as how I make mine, what I'm doing right now, and I'm in a cut, is I will do whey protein, or I'm going to start from the beginning. I'll get my blender. So I usually make this in a blender. I use bullet, but unfortunately the little rubber sealing ring broke on me. So the bullet blender contraption right now, that piece is out of commission, and that is on my registry for the wedding. So I am waiting till then. So I've got the blender that I'll throw in. I use triple berry because I do love the triple berry blend of blueberries, raspberries. I get it from Meyer. You can get it from Kroger, any grocery store. Best is getting it from Costco if you have the room for your freezer. Fortunately, just with everything right now, don't have the room for the big 10-pound bag. But I'll throw a couple strawberries in there occasionally just to mix up the flavor. I'll throw half a banana in there. What I'm aiming for is about 300 grams though of whatever kind of fruit it is, and that's typically just what I'm aiming for right now. And then I'll throw in my whey protein. I'll do 2 scoops depending on what it is. Again, I'm usually doing this all in grams because I'm having the blender right on the scale, and I'm throwing it in, zeroing everything out as I go along. So I'll throw in about 45 grams of my whey protein, 5 grams of my creatine, because that's when I take my creatine, is with my shake, just as a routine I do. I'll throw in about 12 grams of chia seeds. That's just 1 serving, 1 tablespoon. I'll throw in about 14 grams of flax seeds. That's just 1 serving of flax seeds. It's usually 2 tablespoons, depending on what you buy. I'll use 2% milk. So that's going to bump up my protein, but also my carbs. I was using whole milk to bump that up when I was going for higher fats in a bulk. And I just don't like 1%. You can use coconut milk here. You can use different, you can use water if you really want to. You can use almond milk, silk milk, anything like that. I just personally like to use the 2% milk. If you have issues with dairy, obviously we're going to switch that out. And then from there, I think that's all. Yep, that's all that I'm adding right now. So that's usually getting me to around 700, 800 calories. It's a little bit bigger for what most people will drink. So the way I'll modify that, if I want it a little less, is obviously less fruit. I'll add less protein, reducing the portions. But also if I'm trying to be in a bulk and add more to that, this is where you can get creative. This is where you can make that Oreo smoothie and throw in an Oreo in there. I know we try to avoid processed sugars, but if you're actually trying to bulk and hit your calorie goals, sometimes processed sugars, sometimes things can bump up our calorie, make it more calorically dense. And as long as we're not over consuming, as long as they're you know, as long as we're not having issues with the added sugars, then there's no reason that we can't have them. So, but I'll also modify it in ways of adding different proteins. Sometimes I'll add actually more protein, and I'll try to limit my whey protein intake, even though some of you, if you have an intolerance, you might want to switch it out. But at the same time, if you don't have an intolerance, you don't want to just be downing 50, 60, 70 grams of whey protein all the time. So I'll try to add in some collagen protein as well on top of that if I am trying to bump up the protein intake in that itself. I'll add some chia seeds, some more chia seeds. I'll even add some more flax seeds into that to get more fiber. I did forget one of my go-to things that I add in, and this is something that I leave in and out depending on where my calories are for the day, is granola. That's something I definitely add in. I go with the ancient valley, something from Costco. Big bag, but it's a little bit higher in fiber as far as granolas go. It's hard to find a good granola that tastes good, that is high in fiber, that isn't just nuts and just grain. So this one's pretty good. It's got about 5 grams of fiber, so it will bump up the fiber intake there. And I will put that in from time to time. So just got to limit that though, because being in a cut, it is a little bit tougher to include that if I am trying to watch my carbs and some of the fats from the nuts and everything there. So as far as really lowering the calories though, if you're looking to get a lower calorie, I know the question was, well, I don't want to have a 400 calorie shake. I don't want to have a 600 calorie shake. And how am I going to get it a little bit lower? This is where you're probably not going to include a lot of your fruits. You're not going to mix in. You're going to stick with more of your protein, adding in your almond milk, coconut milk, because that's going to get you away from the regular milk or just dairy milk. That's going to be higher in calorie. And as far as flavoring goes, you're going to add ice in. So this is, if you're still blending up, you're wanting to make a shake, you're going to have to add ice, because if you're using frozen fruit, it's a little bit easier blending that up. It's going to add the consistency. That's the frozen part. You can add ice into that too. I typically don't, but if you're adding it to something that's not including anything frozen, you're definitely going to have to add some ice. As far as flavoring goes, now we're going to have to find a protein that's probably going to suit your needs or suit your taste buds a little bit more, because if you're having less substances and everything added to your shake, you're going to have more of an overwhelming taste of the protein. Obviously, you can cancel this out, maybe adding even a little bit of your sugar-free syrups you can get. Obviously, people will add it to their creamers, their coffees and everything. There's no reason you can't do it here. You can even add a little bit of honey. You can still add your chia seeds. You can still add your flax seeds to thicken it up. And even if you throw in one Oreo, that does go a long way. And you're not throwing in a bunch. Now it's not a bunch of sugar, but it does go a long way to flavor it up, the chocolate, the Oreo, the sweetness. So, and I just say Oreo because that's my go-to, but you can do Pop-Tarts. You can do something like that crazy. You can do any kind of cookie that you want to. It's your shake. It's just blending it up, but you can make that flavor for yourself. And even a little bit of syrup, even if it's like a little bit of chocolate syrup, strawberry syrup. If you have a chocolate protein, you want strawberries still, and you're not adding strawberries, just a little squirt of the Hershey's strawberry syrup can go a long way too. You can get sugar-free as well, but that is what I do. As far as you guys go in the chat, sounds like we're kind of on the same page. Some of you add your peanut butter to it as well. Not a big peanut butter fan as far as being outside of Reese's peanut butter cups. So, but the PB2, I believe it's called, the powdered peanut butter, is great to add as well. It's a great addition. So let's kind of give you guys some ideas as far as how shakes go, how to modify them, what you can add. Anything there? You guys can give me a 1 in the chat, just if that's a yes, you agree, or if you guys have any questions, let me know too. 1, good. Perfect. All right, we'll go on here. As far as what I wanted to really talk about tonight, that was the question from Ashley. So I wanted to be able to have that in here for her to be able to watch back. And as far as you guys go too, I think that's a good review for how to make your own protein shakes, give you some ideas. But tonight, really what I wanted to touch base on, and put up my board behind me, is stress management. I know I told you guys to come with your questions in my email tonight, or my email earlier today. Go. Come with ways that you guys manage your stress as far as positively speaking. So I know we all know ways of how we can negatively manage our stress, anything from overeating to just binge watching TV or anything else. But yeah, I want to start with there. Go ahead, you guys can type in the chat. What are ways that one way that you deal with your stress positively? What's your go-to way of dealing with stress? Working out. It's a good one. Exercise, quiet time. Perfect. Music. I like it. Susan, I see you cooking. I know you're kind of busy with meat. Can't do too much. So, but yeah, exercising is a great one. I think that's a lot of people. And it's not surprising that those of you on the call here that find peace in your exercising. I think I attract that kind of clientele. That's how I find my peace as well. It's really where I like to go. But also, as far as stress management goes, I like to play guitar. Got my guitar back there. So there we go. Guitar back there. I like to shoot guns from time to time. If I'm able to go to a range, it's a little easier when I was living at home. I'm able to walk out back and just shoot guns at a target. Music as well. Like to hang out with friends. Like to garden. That's actually something I did this weekend, is set up my garden on my patio. Don't have a lot of space, but luckily I have enough to be able to use some planters, use some little pots here, and got that all planted, set up, peppers and catnip, and got a couple things growing out there. So that's something that I enjoy in the morning. Helps relieve some stress, and as I can leave my phone inside and go do that. So playing bass, Curtis, I know you've got a gig even coming up this weekend. So you play bass. That's definitely stress relieving, being able to play music. Yeah, so as far as stress management goes, those are great ways. And really the reason I wanted to be able to talk about this too is because stress is one of those things that if we're not managing, it's going to be the roadblock in our success. It's going to be the wall that's stopping us from our goals, from all the gains that we're able to achieve. And when we think about stress, people don't necessarily can you guys see this? Okay. Can you guys see that okay now? A little bit better. So as far as stress goes, people don't really necessarily, it's not always just your job. We have family stress. We have fitness. Sorry, there's a little bit of a glare. I'm trying to get out of the way. There we go. You can be sick. You can be injured. So that's also stress to the body. When it comes to stress, your body doesn't necessarily know the difference between you being stressed out from your job and your boss yelling at you, or you being sick and having higher inflammation. It's stress. And if it's adding up, it's going to be something that we have to address. If it's going to be causing us to add more from our workouts. So if we are adding more to our workouts, we're stressed out from our job, our kids are running around, and we're a little bit sick. We might be dealing with a nagging injury, and then we're trying to drive ourselves even deeper at the gym. We're just kind of causing a little bit more of our plate to add up to where we're going to eventually drop something and break. If we're going into a deficit during a weight loss cycle, during a weight loss phase, that is also stress on the body. Being in a calorie deficit, being in a place where you're undersleeping, not getting enough rest, not getting enough recovery during the night, because if you're not getting at least 7 hours on average, if we're starting to dwindle down and get less than that, we're really not able to recover from the work, all the things that we're doing throughout the day. So of course there's more. I don't know if you guys have any ideas of anything else that I didn't say, but as far as stress goes, that really is a lot of what can cause us to just have the weight of the world on our shoulders sometimes. So, but when we are at higher stress, and does that make sense as far as where stress can come from, the different type, or as far as the different ways and the different areas that it might enter? Yeah, I saw you shake your head, Megan. Curtis, makes sense there. Cool. So now some ways that we can begin to deal with it if we are dealing with being overly stressed. Just a couple ways that we can begin to deal with it. Number one is just making sure that we focus on lower intensity exercises, things like yoga, things like Pilates, things like walking, making sure that we are not overly exerting ourselves and doing the things that are going to drive our body deeper into a state of stress, like HIIT training, just long miles, just over intense boot camps. Do you guys have any other ideas that of anything that we might be dealing with? Any other ways that people might be causing themselves to overly train? Now I want to say it, but I'll say it. CrossFit. CrossFit's one of them. Orange Theory is one of them. Can be a couple of these different modalities that really cause people to overtrain.
What about that Octavia or whatever?
I think that's more nutrition. I thought that was shakes. I'm not sure what they do.
But I just know, like, people who have done that, that puts so much stress on your body, like just trying to do what they want you to do. It's like insane. Like you can't eat like how many calories. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Which kind of gets into our second point here is eating more fuel. The next part of when you're dealing with stress, what a lot of people don't realize is that you're going to require more carbs, more carbohydrates in particular, and especially around the night. You're going to want to eat more carbs at night if you're dealing with extra stress, not just because they make you feel good, not just because they're going to bring you some happiness, but because we're actually going to be increasing our insulin, increasing the insulin need at night. So if we eat them at night, we're going to drive our insulin up when we go to bed, which is also going to help our recovery. But because the counterparts of insulin is your cortisol, if we can bring insulin up, we can bring cortisol down, and which is going to allow you to have better rest, better recovery. Obviously, you don't want to be stuffing your face with pancakes and Pop-Tarts and popcorn and everything else before you go to bed around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. But having your last meal, and you can carb cycle throughout the day, a little bit lower carbs in the morning. Obviously, you don't want to have a big carby breakfast because then you're just going to be sleeping at your desk or sleeping at the wheel as you're going to work. But having a little bit lower carbs, higher protein, higher fats in the morning, middle of your day, moderate carbs, and then your evening meal, your dinner, higher carbs to promote that recovery. And you can do this whether you're in a deficit, whether you're in maintenance calories, whether you're bulking, because you're still just following that lower, moderate to higher carbs to moderate your stress. Now, obviously, this is for someone that's trying to bring down their cortisol levels, trying to just moderate where they are as far as stress in their lives. But if you are doing or aiming for performance, trying to fuel for performance or aesthetics, there are other ways to fuel and to cycle your carbs as well. This is just one way to go through and to lower it for cortisol. So does that make sense there? Eating and fueling, eating more for fuel. So, wrote a couple points up here. I just wanted to, they're more for me than you guys to make sure that I touch base on everything. So last thing here, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anybody, but prioritizing sleep. I think this is something that whether you are stressed out or not, it's something that I stress constantly on you. It's because if you're not getting enough sleep, it's going to be the limiting factor. Sleep's where all your recovery is going to happen. Sleep is going to be where you're able to restore your hormones. Sleep's actually going to be where a lot of the weight loss happens. And I will give a bonus point right now to one of you three if you guys can tell me how weight loss occurs. You can say it out loud, you can say it in the chat. You get one chance. How does weight loss actually occur? Yeah, I know. Everybody's stumped. No one wants to take a first guess. Anybody here wants to tell me? No. Lower cortisol? Nope. Good try. Thank you. Feel like we failed. I don't think you failed me. I feel like this is a trick question. This is something that most health coaches, most fitness coaches won't know is either. Burning calories. Nope. It is actually we breathe it out. The only way to lose weight is to breathe it out. And that's usually surprising, but as you're respirating,
I really feel like I should know that since
I feel like you should. I feel like you should have. But that's how we get rid of waste. So that's how you lose weight. So when you're sleeping at night, making sure that, or I forget exactly where I was going with that, but none of you got the bonus points. I got the bonus point. But yeah, so prioritizing sleep, just making sure that you're getting sleep at night. That's going to help make sure that you are set up for your day, being able to just eliminate the waste, the toxins. That's where a lot of the antioxidants are going to come into play. That's where a lot of the processes are going to happen at night. A lot of the recovery. The most important part of the sleep cycle is the first couple hours is where you're really getting into it. And the most important, and I forget exactly who said this, but you get, I think, 4 times as much rest before midnight as you do after midnight. So those hours that you can get to bed, if you can get closer to bed from 9 to 10 to 11 to 12, you get a lot more recovery, more rest within that period than you do from 12 on. So those people that go to bed from 11 p.m., but they still sleep in, you're not getting as much of rest as you could because you're still set on the circadian rhythm where your cortisol is supposed to still spike around that 8 a.m. mark. So, and yeah, Megan, if you can let me know exactly on that, that'd be great too. I forget exactly where I listen to a lot of podcasts, listen to a lot of doctors and all the information.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. Like I actually did just a small sleep lecture last week because I have to talk about obstructive sleep apnea. I know that you go through 3 to 4 cycles of all the different stages. And I know once you hit 60, you really don't have the N3 stage that occurs. I think that's why old people take naps a lot during the day because they don't get that period of like deep sleep before you go into REM sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll look into it though.
Yeah, let me know. But I believe that is something that is what happens as far as your recovery is if you can get those early hours before midnight. Obviously, your body doesn't know that it just became midnight. So it's arbitrary to how your sleep cycle's set up and how everything's being released. But making sure that you aren't trying to stay up late, watching that movie, watching that extra show, that really does throw off you for the next day and your recovery, your ability to recover. So, is there any questions? Anything that came up from all this? Anything at all? If not, I want to stop the recording. Thank you all that were watching. If you guys were watching with us later, what I want you guys to do is I want you just to share, tag a friend in this video. You guys can share this with someone as well that you think that needs to get some better sleep. Don't be aggressive about it though. If you send it and say, hey, I think you should watch this, then you might tick someone off in some certain cases because they might be like, hey, who are you to say that I need more sleep and need less stress? It might cause more stress to someone. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it.